Windows 10X, Microsoft's dual-screen operating system designed for the Surface Neo. Everyone was so excited for this new operating system that would really redefine the way Windows ran on dual-screen computers as well as cheaper devices. However, not much has been said about this new operating system for quite a few months. So what really happened to Windows 10X? Before we take a look at what actually happened to Windows 10X, we need to see what builds are still available on the Microsoft Store. To run Windows 10X, we of course need Microsoft Emulator. This is how we do get the dual screen Neo emulator, and this is the only way that I know of that we can run Windows 10X. If we scroll down on the Microsoft Store page, we can see that there's two add-ons, Windows 10X and Windows 10X. They're both different builds of Windows 10X. However, one was released on February 8th, 2020, and one was released on March 4th, 2020. In this video, we'll be taking a look at the build that was released on March 4th, 2020, as it is the latest version I could find anywhere, which is a little bit suspicious to me considering that Microsoft typically shares the development of their operating systems with their Windows insiders. Let's take a look at Windows 10X itself. In the Microsoft emulator, we can move our cursor and click Start. From there, the dual-screen Surface Neo emulator will show up. This boots up like any typical version of Windows, as it does have the same loading screen. In order to use this emulator, I had to enable Hyper-V, so that's what this runs off of. Once the emulator starts up, we can now see that we have two screens, each running Windows 10X. This is the Windows 10X Start menu. As you can see, it looks very different from your typical 10X Start menu. For apps that were pre-installed, we have Microsoft Edge, Mail, Calendar, Photos, Microsoft Store, File Explorer, Camera, Calculator, Alarms, Movies, Sticky Notes, Get Help, Settings, Weather, Maps, Snipping Tool, Voice Recorder, Groove Music, People, Notepad, Feedback Hub, a beta version of File Explorer, OneNote, Tips, Windows Security, and Microsoft Whiteboard. Since this Windows 10X emulator is being ran in dual screen mode, the same start menu is reflected on the other side. However, on the right display, there is something a little bit different. This is the Quick Settings menu. From here, we can lock our computer, but we can also take a look at stuff like our volume, our brightness, Bluetooth, projection, a compose mode, which just flips the screen and allows a keyboard to show up, as we can see here. This is really good for the actual Surface Neo whenever that does decide to release. Rotation lock, keyboard layout, do not disturb, some grayed out options, as well as a keyboard, but since I enabled pen mode, it brought up a write to text. Now, I do want to go over a few pre-installed apps just to show how similar Windows 10X is to Windows 10. And let's take a look at Microsoft Edge. This version of Edge is almost identical. In fact, it is identical to the same version that you would find shipping with Windows 10 version 20H2. It's the same desktop version, it's got all the same features. The only thing that is missing is that maximize button, but you can't really maximize on a dual screen tablet. The Mail app looks exactly like it was ripped straight out of Windows 10. In fact, we can see it brings up the Add an Account window, and it even has that little cloud background. If we open Mail on Windows 10, we can see it's literally the exact same thing. It's like they just grabbed it out of Windows 10 and then pulled it straight into Windows 10X. This is how similar this operating system's pre-installed apps are. One app that differs greatly from the standard edition of Windows 10 is actually File Explorer. File Explorer looks like it's been totally redeveloped to fit a cheaper tablet-like perspective. In fact, this file app almost reminds me of the File Explorer on the iPad. And I say this because it's very limited. I can't really explore my C drive, and all I get is downloads, pictures, and the 5 standard folders. Earlier, you may have seen when we were going over the pre-installed apps that there was another File Explorer that was in beta. This is it. When I opened it, it asked me to sign into OneDrive, which I didn't want to do, and then it preceded me with an error, and then the entire screen went blank. I'm not entirely sure what the deal is with this. It's obviously still in beta, but it does have more of the blue colors like Windows 10 was aiming to do, and it does look more modern. So eventually, yes, I see this being the standard File Explorer, but it is way too early in development, just like the whole operating system. One thing that looks like it's been directly ripped straight out of Windows 10 is the Settings app. It of course has all 10 categories, as well as Windows Update and the same general idea. Checking for updates, it doesn't show any updates, so obviously they haven't pushed out any new ones to the Windows 10X system. If you go to About, we can see that it does identify itself as Windows 10X, however the model, or the version, is 2004, meaning that this obviously hasn't been updated since 2004 was still a beta. One thing that I found a little bit interesting is that in the display category, we don't have any special display settings for the dual screen display. All we get is brightness and a little bit of other stuff, but there's really no settings for two displays. It's just a standard display setting like you would find on Windows 10, which for a dual screen operating system, I really think that this is a little bit concerning. Since Windows 10X shares many similarities with Windows 10, I thought, let's see what happens if I try to run an exe. So I downloaded the media creation tool for version 20H2, and nothing happened. So this cannot run your standard desktop apps, but it will run any app that is available in the Microsoft Store. It even identifies this as a desktop app. It knows what it is, but for some reason it did not run in my emulator. Now that we've taken a basic look at Windows 10X, what's the future of it? Why haven't we seen any updates whatsoever? Well, over the last few months, there's been a lot of rumors circulating that Windows 10X will no longer be shipped for dual-screen devices rather than a single-screen Chrome OS competitor. According to Forbes.com, the first preview of Windows 10X for single-screen products will release in Q2 of 2021, while the first version of Windows 10X for dual-screen PCs, which would be something like the Neo, won't arrive until the second half of 2022. So we're still a few years out on dual-screen versions of Windows 10X, but as for Windows 10X on desktop, we are getting there. I think Windows 10X on the desktop is a great idea, as it really gives Microsoft an edge in operating systems like Chrome OS, because Chrome OS is currently dominating the education industry right now, and I think Windows 10X is definitely their entrance, because Windows 10 in S mode was not it. Let's just look up Surface Neo. If you look up Surface Neo, we can see a ton of unofficial articles, but there's nothing directly from Microsoft. Microsoft has removed the Surface Neo's page from its entire Microsoft.com website, and the Surface Neo introduction video has also been removed from all of Microsoft's YouTube channels. The only one I could find is one from Surface Commercials, who only has around 43 subscribers, which is definitely interesting to me. Why Microsoft has removed the entire Surface Neo from their website. They've said that they are not canceling this product, but it sure seems like it. As they're delaying it, they've quit releasing Windows 10X versions. It's definitely interesting to see how they're completely removing this from their ecosystem. So, what's next for Windows 10X? Well, I don't think we'll see any news on the operating system until at least 2021. Windows 10X will most likely ship at first as a Chrome OS competitor, and then, later in the year, a dual-screen operating system. This kind of messes up their original plan for the Surface Neo with the dual screen, but I think this is a better decision than going with the Surface Neo. Windows 10X is better off suited as a single-screen OS that competes with Chrome OS rather than a dual-screen new sort of piece of technology. I'd rather have them delay their products to make sure that they're perfect instead of having another Windows 10 version 1507, because that was a mess. Windows 10X isn't dead, it's just delayed. The hype has died down since there is really no official talk from Microsoft. We're ready to see how the future of Windows is affected by this. Maybe Windows 10X will be for your typical consumer, and Windows 10 will be more for professional users. But with that being said, thank you so much for watching this video. Make sure to like and subscribe if you're new around here, as I do all kinds of different technology videos, including device restorations and informational videos like this. I'll see you all in the next one.